The word dharma in Buddhism is very, very vast, and it's a very, very big word. So when we try to interpret it in certain language, I think there is no such a language which can really judge for that very word. We translate that, which is sufficient for that word. Just like for the suffering, the word dukkha in Pali is another suffering as we generally use in English. It is more meaning than that. So dharma is also, there's a deep meaning over that thing. But when we talk about the Buddha dharma, it is a dharma of the Buddha. But the dharma is generally, it is just generally we take it as a teaching. If in India will become religions, all the set of teachings, say Buddha dharma, the Buddhist religion, or whatever it is. But dharma, if you go by etymology, it has a more straightforward meaning. It is the meaning is a natural law in one sense, or even to make it more simplify it, is from the word dra. Dra means that it is uphold. So it is a state of upholding. Upholding what? Upholding everything. The nature of upholding. And when you say nature of upholding, the way we are filming this, the way we are recording this, it means that the camera has to be dharma. All the recording equipment has to be dharma. The one who interview have to be dharma, and the giving interview as a dharma, which means that dharma is another way, is the functioning. So if the camera is not working, we said that the camera become adharma. So camera is not function. So dharma is also the function. So if it's upholding, as a camera, it is designed to uphold the way that it can shoot, it can record the things. So that is become a camera, become dharma. So in that sense, when you explain the dharma from etymological point of view, then you will see that it's actually the very modern word we are using in this century is become a sustainability. Because these days, in this our age, sustainability become our mantra. So the UN is saying that as sustainable development, although I don't know whether UN understand that word or not, because for many people, the sustainable development doesn't mean anything, because it's an oxymoron in a way, because development means changing all the time. If you don't change, you can't develop. But when you sustain, generally we will think that it's not changing. It's go forever. It's for long lasting. So if it is a long lasting, it's not changing. So if it's not changing, so it's not should be done development. So what do you mean by sustainable development? If we take into the to the real practical point of view. So if you look at the SDGs from the United Nations 2015 announcement that the global goal is 17 sustainable development goals. But look at those goals. Nothing can be sustainable at all, because no poverty. What do you mean by no poverty? And what do you mean by poverty itself? Because poverty itself, if you are just defined by the money, it is not true at all. Because if you say no poverty, it means that you have to kill all the monks and priests in the world. Because all those Catholic priests or Buddhist monks, we live by the vow of poverty. So if you say that you have to eliminate poverty by all means, it means that we have to be deleted from this world. So do you have a right to do that? So in that way, a lot of the misunderstanding on that. But if we take it from the etymological point of view, it becomes very interesting, because the word sustain in Latin is a tenere, and tenere is also from the word same as dre, which is the same root, which is uphold. So sus is a prefix, which means from below. So it means that to uphold with a firm ground, that is sustainability. So it means that anything, so it is a dharma. Dharma means that which you can uphold with the ground, firm ground as well. When we said, for example, when we said Dhammacakkappavattana, this is the first sermon of the Buddha. Generally we translate as turning the wheel of dharma, but that is that's meaning in kind of literary. But if you take it etymologically, the Dhammacakkappavattana basically means that it is a sustainable development in action, because dharma is a tenor, and the sustainability is a dharma, And the word development will be chakra. Chakra is generally people think that is wheel. But the etymology of chakra means a moving forward with a firm ground. So it is a moving forward with a firm ground, and it upholds things. So, but Buddha's idea at the time is the first message is already he was talking about sustainable development at that, by that means. But he talked even better than the modern sustainable development of United Nations, because he said that sustainable development shouldn't be ideology. It should be pawattana. Pawattana means that in action, in practice. So the whole idea of Buddhism, what we call Buddha Dharma, is all about the practice of how do you sustain yourself. And sustain yourself, when you talk about yourself, there is a two side. Is a physical existence and the mental existence. And even you can call it spiritual existence. So how do you balance this? How do you uphold that as a human? As a human, it is not only the human thing. I have been recently challenging the Brundtland report definition of SDG, saying that it is defined by to fulfill the need of our generation and the future generations. I said that from Buddhist point of view, it is totally wrong, because your need means that it is a greed. You never know that what is your need. You always want. If you are defining the sustainable development based on your wanting and the future generation wanting and your need, what do you mean by the world? What do you mean by your resource? What do you mean by the tree? What do you mean by all the sensual beings, all these animal creatures, however the atmosphere, the biosphere, and biodiversity? We are disregarding in the sustainable development all those things. You are just thinking that all those things have to be serving for your need and your future generations' needs. So is that right, that we are here to just consume everything for our survival? Or we are here to protect or to nurture what we are getting through, and then appreciate what we are getting from the nature, what we are getting from all these animal creatures, and then live together in harmony and make this earth a heaven. So that is the Buddha's idea, even 2,500 years ago. So the word dharma, in that sense, I have been strongly speaking in whatever this field or whatever the stages which I got it. I said that the dharma it actually means sustainability based on etymology, and sustainability in the meaning of the Buddhist way of sustainability, which means that upholding based on the rationality, which is as a natural law. It's based on natural law.